far. In fact, all the signals in a radio system travel faster than a bolt of lightning. Even though you can't see radio receiver parts, move all parts in a locomotive or a threshing machine, you will soon be able to visualize plenty of action in radio currents. As you become more familiar with the tubes, transformers, resistors, condensers, and all parts used in radio, you will find yourself thinking of electrical actions in these parts, actions more exciting and more rapid than in any man-made engine. Radio will become alive, and you will develop an enthusiasm which makes your radio job a pleasure rather than a chore. Volume control. The average radio receiver, when tuned to a local station, is capable of producing far more volume than is required by listeners in homes. Furthermore, people like to vary the loudness of a radio program to suit the occasion. They want much more volume for a news broadcast than for background music, which accompanies the conversational chatter of a dinner party. For these reasons, every radio receiver has a device which serves as the volume control. It is adjusted by a knob or lever on the front panel of the receiver. When you turn down the volume of a radio receiver by rotating the volume control knob counterclockwise, you are simply reducing the strength, voltage, of the signal which is being transferred from one point to another in the receiver. When you advance the volume control all the way for reception of a distant or foreign station, you are simply using the full signal, boosting the ability of the receiver. I can't read anymore.
I ain't know, but when you sit down, you don't realize, and then you get up, and oh, there it is.
On-off switch. Another control which you will find in every radio receiver is an on-off switch or power switch. This switch turns off the receiver by disconnecting it from the
What is that screwdriver doing there? Shouldn't have it on there. I'll put
from
it
the
for you.
power line of or other source of power, assuming that our TRF receiver operates from an AC power line. This switch would be located on the front panel of the receiver and would be connected into one of the leads of the receiver power cord. Oftentimes, the volume control knob also operates the on-off switch,
Have you got the time?
turning this knob a slight amount clockwise.
Bonitas!
Clicks on the switch and further
Open
turning
up!
increases the volume. Power
Open
pack. An AC power line provides only an AC voltage, but the tube electrodes in a receiver require DC voltage like those obtainable from batteries. In order to change the AC line voltage into the various DC and lower AC voltage values required by the tubes, a special vacuum tube stage known as a power pack is needed in every receiver which operates from an AC power line. Why use make a racket? Although receivers may have different types of power packs on, or may operate directly from batteries, you will find that all receivers, aircraft sets, auto radios, portable receivers, and others have essentially
You don't open up, I'll turn the light off.
the same signal
There it
circuits.
goes.
Lenny, be quiet.
There.
This is indeed fortunate, for it means that you need to study only a limited number of signal circuits. The vacuum
Open the
tube...
door.
Lenny, be quiet!
Concentration.
The vacuum tube used in a power pack is known as a rectifier tube. Its job is to convert the AC voltage into a pulsating DC voltage.
Pulsating.
What is it?
What?
Is it pulsating?
What?
Which always acts in the same direction even though it rises and falls in the value.
Why?
I've just about had enough.
Quiet once, yeah.
Condensers and a coil acting together in a filter circuit smooth out the variations in this pulsating DC voltage so as to give the pure, unvarying DC voltage required by the tubes. The other important duty of the power pack is to provide the correct low AC voltage for each tube filament. In your very next lesson you will study several ways in which this is done, avoiding distortion of sound. The sound as reproduced by the loudspeaker of a radio receiver will be identical with the original sound picked up by the microphone in the broadcasting studio, only if our audio signal varies in exactly the same way at all points on the long path between the studio and the home. One improper adjustment or one defect anywhere along this path can destroy the faithfulness of reproduction of the sound, making repairs necessary. This unnaturalness of a radio program coming from a loudspeaker is called distortion. Your duty. As a radio serviceman, it would be your duty to maintain the receiver end of the radio broadcasting chain in perfect condition. As a communications expert, you would be entrusted with the care of the transmitter end. The only part of the radio signal path which is completely out of the hands of radio man is the space between the transmitting and receiving antennas. Here nature produces electrical storms which cause static interference. In addition, the reflecting layers high in the stratosphere shift up or down from time to time and cause fading of radio signals. But even these natural enemies of radio are gradually being conquered by the radio engineers. With improved circuits, improved equipment, and a greater knowledge of radio. A brief review of the process of sending and receiving a radio broadcast will tie together in your mind the various steps involved in sending a sound radio program from the studio to your home. Starting at the studio, the performers produce sound waves. These are picked up by the microphone and converted into an audio signal having the same characteristics as the sound waves. This audio signal travels through the microphone cable to the control room, where it is amplified many times by vacuum tube amplifier stages. The amplified audio signal is then fed over telephone lines to the transmitter proper, which may be many miles from the control room and studio. The audio signal undergoes additional amplification at the transmitter before it is fed into the modulated stage. Never mind. A radio frequency carrier voltage produced by a crystal oscillator and amplified by various...
Oscilloscope.
That's not a oscilloscope.
Where?
Good gravy, I think I should know that. Oscilloscope. Various RF amplifier stages is also fed into the modulation stage. Modulated stage.
Picture, 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 picture.
Boy, I'm going to give you a licking. The modulated RF carrier signal of the modulated stage is amplified further by RF amplifier stages, and the resulting strong modulated RF carrier signal is then fed to the transmitting antenna. The electrons vibrating in the transmitting antenna under the influence of this modulated RF carrier current produce vibrating electric and magnetic fields which travel out through space as radio waves. As a receiver location, the free electrons in the receiving antenna wire are set in vibration at the frequency of the radio waves. The result is a very weak modulated RF carrier current in the receiving antenna. This amplified thousands of times by the RF amplifier stages in the receiver, and after which the signal is sent into the detector. The detector stage separates the audio signal from its RF carrier and feeds only the audio signal into the audio amplifier. The audio amplifier in turn delivers a strong audio frequency current to the loudspeaker. This current causes the loudspeaker diaphragm to push and pull against the surrounding air, creating sound waves which are a true reproduction of the sound produced by the performers in the broadcasting studio. Looking ahead. You have now obtained enough knowledge of radio to give you the necessary foundation for one of the most fascinating careers in the world. Radio.
Bully.
Best of all, you didn't have to wade through 15 or 20 lessons to get this information. You secured your foundation knowledge from just 2 lessons because the NRI course gives you only what you really need. You have not passed a real milestone, and you have now passed a real milestone, and you are certainly entitled to a satisfying feeling of accomplishment. At the same time, you have prepared yourself for the next milestone, which is a fascinating study of individual radio parts, circuits, and meters. Here you will take up circuit details which were purposely saved for the next lesson, and study many other interesting arrangements of radio parts which are sometimes used in place of the circuit already studied. In the next lesson you get a wealth of practical information about meters, which are the most valuable tools of all for radio men. You will learn exactly how meters are used in real radio circuits, and how they tell you what the invisible electrons and radio signals are doing in your circuits. The ease with which you master this next lesson will be additional proof of how much you have learned in such a short time. You will also learn about practical battery connections, such as are used in portable receivers, and about different ways of changing voltages from one value to another. With the confidence and feel of radio you have already developed, you will be anxious to start the next lesson as quickly as possible. Therefore, turn back to the first page now and take care of those last few steps in the study schedule so you can start on the next lesson while the important facts of the first 2 lessons are still fresh in your mind.
Mama?